What's good, everyone? You're rocking with your boy, the clinician, and we back at it again. Today, what I would like to do and what I would like to share with you guys is I just wanted to kind of, share with you guys my journey. So, as you guys know, I'm, a comic book collector, obviously, and I've set some goals for myself that I would like to accomplish, going into the year, and just some books that I've really been wanting to pick up for a while. And be honest with you, the way the market has been looking, especially like I'd say probably between the latter part of November all the way up until this point, I've noticed like a huge decline in like just comic book prices. And, I know a lot of times that can be discouraging for a lot of people and, maybe make people feel like, man, is the book's worthless, or, am I going to get any return on my investment? It just kind of depends on what your intent is, right? Everybody kind of goes into collecting for different things. I'm not here to judge or anything like that. But for me personally, I love the hobby. I love just collecting because these are books that have significance to me because I'm really vested either in the character, the storyline, or I'm just really just a fan, of the material. And that's not to say that I don't look at value and I don't, look in certain cases to flip a book or get some investment so I can return on my investment so I can maybe buy something I really want. So like maybe I'll buy like certain things that I feel like, oh, I could flip this and, make a profit and, put this back into the hobby and get something I want, what have you. But nonetheless, what I would like to do with you guys today is I kind of missed out on doing my recap for the year of 2023 and, what I got. I kind of touched on a couple of things during my last video where, I shared with you guys my journey into Mystery 112, which was a big purchase for me last year. But what I would like to do is just kind of go back a little bit to maybe from December to currently and just show you like, the top 10 books that I've purchased, since December 2023 that I really feel like I'm really proud of that purchase. Like, yeah, I did that. You know what I'm saying? And it just kind of adds to my collection. And these books are just things that I really enjoy, the character I really enjoy. And to be honest with you, to be quite frank, you know who my favorite character is. So you'll probably see, that's probably going to make up most of my top 10 just to keep it a bean with you guys. But hey, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's my collection, right? So I'm going to rock with it. I'm going to go. If you're not collecting stuff you like, then, I don't know what to tell you. Why are you collecting? I guess money, but I don't know if this like comics are the best investment overall in the grand scheme of things, right? But in any event, guys, what I want to do is I want to just share with you guys the top 10 books I've collected. These are just my personal ones that I've collected from December 2023 to currently, and I just want to share these with you guys. So the first book I want to share with you guys is a book I haven't even read yet, but I'm planning on reading it. But this particular comic book was basically something I picked up. And me and my fiance went to the Atlanta Comic Con this year, at the World Congress Center in Atlanta, Georgia, of course. But in going, and I still want to do a video on that, guys, where, I talk a little bit about my experience with going to the Atlanta Comic Con, because I really had a great time. Me and her enjoyed ourselves. But there's a couple things I really wanted to touch base on just to kind of give some really constructive criticism and feedback to the con in terms of just some things I noticed, some things I really enjoyed, some things that I feel like could be worked on better. So let you guys let me know in the comment section, would you want me to really go over that? I do plan on doing it anyway, but I kind of want to get some feedback, especially for people who may have attended the con, just to kind of let me know where you guys kind of, stood with it. So if you guys have any feedback on the Atlanta Comic Con, let me know in the comment section, but that is something I do plan on going over. But anyway, nonetheless, when you go to these cons, you meet all kinds of artists, and I really love that aspect of it. And I feel like that was one of the great things about that particular con I enjoyed, is it had like a lot of, up and coming artists, some pretty big name artists that you may have heard from in a while that were just out there, in those vendor sections. And I like that. I don't like it when they're so segregated and kind of like what some of the celebrities were. They were kind of like segregated to this particular location and the lines were just out the wazoo. I'm like, couple people I want to see, I'm just not even gonna wait because it's just too crazy. So anyway, there was this guy by the name of Gavin Smith, who I honestly haven't heard of. He's an artist. He's a freelance artist, I believe, who's done a lot of work for Boom Studios and a couple of other comic book publishers. But what he was really pushing, when I noticed, was Ninja Turtles. So basically, what I ended up getting from him was this particular comic book. It is Raphael. I believe it's a Ninja Turtles. It's a new Ninja Turtles series that's ongoing by IDW, and of course Raphael's on the cover. He's actually my favorite Ninja Turtle. That's what kind of attracted me to it. It's like, oh, Raph, that's my dude. And he also has some really cool artwork as well that really showcase like some original prints of not just his Ninja Turtles work, but he had a lot of Marvel stuff. Like he had this one really kick butt poster or original print of Wolverine fighting like the hand, and it was so dope. I was just like, whoa, this dude is sick. And he had a Daredevil one that was just like ridiculously like wicked. And I was just like, wow. But this particular comic really appealed to me because he was telling me about a little bit of the synopsis and the story. And I kind of been wanting to get into The Last Ronin, which I actually just purchased the hard copy of that, like the whole graphic novel of that. So I do plan on reading that. But he was basically working on this particular series, doing the artwork for it. And the guy was just so nice, so friendly, so welcoming. Me and him were just kind of chopping it up. Me and the fiance we were all just like having a good time, just conversing, and I was asking him questions about his artwork, and he was just kind of telling me some future projects he's working on, and he actually he took time to talk to me, and I got the book from him and he signed it. So I really do plan on reading this book because I do want to kind of get back into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love the cartoon as a kid. I even like the revamp they did in the early 2000s, the TMT revamp, the 2D one. Not when they went to the future, but just, like the gritty one. Because I feel like it stayed more true to the original comic books from back in the day. But I love the cartoons growing up. So getting into the comic books, this is going to be something newer for me. Because I haven't read any TMT in a long time, not since like the 80s run. I read a little bit of those growing up. But this right here, I really, really am looking forward to reading it. And Gavin, if you're watching this or if you happen to see this, man, thank you so much for just being like an approachable artist and just being so friendly and welcoming. He was a great guy, like really down to earth dude. And I love that. I love when artists are just really like into their work and really are open to speaking with fans. That does so much for the community, and it just really reinforces, like the hobby and wanting to support your artists, So, Gavin, it was an honor and a pleasure to meet you, man. And I look forward to seeing you at other cons. So I actually just gave you a follow on Instagram. So I'm going to be checking out more of your stuff. And any cons that you are doing close to my area, I definitely will be attending, and I definitely will talk to you. And next time I talk to you, I will give you some feedback on what I feel about this storyline. But look at the artwork. The artwork is dope. And I looked at the inside of the comic too, and your artwork is sick. I mean, the artwork is on another level. The story I haven't read yet, so I can't comment on that. But I am looking forward to reading it. So just shout out to Gavin Smith. So this is my number 10 book that I've gotten so far between December to February. So, thank you, Gavin, for convincing me to get back into reading Ninja Turtles. So the next comic book I actually got on Shortbox. And, if you guys don't know anything about Shortbox, it's a website or an app where you can just go and purchase comics. For the longest time, it used to just be, from what I saw, just slab comic books that they were selling, but they've recently, within the past several months, have actually started allowing people to sell raw comics, which is so awesome because sometimes people just don't always want to buy slab, and sometimes people just want to have raw copies. I'm both. I can go. I like some raw. I do like some slab. It just depends on the book for me. It depends on what I'm trying to do with the book. So for me, I think it's great to have options. I'm a man of options. I like to have choices and be able to do either or. So Shortbox is really cool. For you guys who don't know, I will tag Shortbox in the comment section, so that way you guys can give them a checkout. The cool thing about it is, like, you can find some really cool deals, and sometimes you can make offers to the dealers, which is really awesome, and I really love it. So this particular book, this was actually I want to say it was the first purchase, if I'm not mistaken. I believe this was my first purchase from him. Might be the second. I can't remember. But anyway, I purchased this book on Shortbox from a guy that I would later find out to be at Rainy. I'm going to tag him as well on this post. I believe it's at Rainy Comics. I didn't know his name because they don't list your usernames on Shortbox, but he put his tag in on his when he delivered it, which is great marketing. I mean, because that allowed me to see it, and now I follow him on Instagram. He's a really cool guy from what I've observed on Instagram, and really, really cordial and communicating, and of course, somebody that also supports the hobby, sells some really cool books. So anyway, I've been looking for this book for a while, but you kind of gotta learn patience when buying comic books, because sometimes what looks good may not always be good. And what I mean by that is the price, it may be a little too high for what it's worth. And I know a lot of people can easily get caught up in FOMO and just jump the gun and pull the trigger. I'm guilty of it myself. I'm not absolved of it. I've done it plenty of times. I will probably continue to do it from time to time. But, with, experience comes wisdom, and, I've learned to try to be more patient with my purchases and try to really focus and target on the things that I really want to get and to purchase. So with this particular comic, this was a comic that actually blew up a while ago. It was just ridiculously high and has since kind of come back down to earth. And the comic book I'm talking about is Thor 150. Oh man, Thor 150, man. Yeah, what can I say, man? Some of that Kirby goodness, man. First cover appearance of Hela, if I'm not mistaken. Just a classic Jack Kirby cover. I got a really good deal on this, guys. I mean, Rainy really gave me a good pricing. It was fair for what the grade is, and it's a nice mid grade. With these Silver Age comics, I mean, if you can get like a nice mid grade, like a 6 and up, you're doing pretty good. I feel like, especially for Silver Age, and for those of us who can't afford like a 9.0 and up or a near mint, this is probably the next best thing because it looks presentable. I mean, it looks great. I mean, I know there's that glare, but I mean, it's a beautiful copy, and it's actually one of my favorite comic book covers. I love this cover of Hela, kind of dominating over Thor, and his spirit coming out and things of that nature. And lately I've really been getting back into reading like Silver Age Thor. I actually just purchased the Journey into Mystery Thor Omnibus, so I'm reading a lot of the earlier stories. This one, I believe, kind of falls under I think this is would be volume 2 of the Thor Omnibus Silver Age, which is currently out of print. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to probably either get an Epic Collection or a Masterworks to try to read that after I get done catching up with the volume 1. I really don't like doing the digital thing, guys. When it comes to comics, for some reason I can do it with manga, but I can't do it with comic books, which makes no sense. But I don't know. I'm just a stickler for having to have a hard copy. You guys tell me, do you guys prefer in this new age reading hard copy comics or just reading digital, or maybe both, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're in this new age now, so I can't call it, but nonetheless, this is a beautiful copy. And Rainy, shout out to you, man. I really love this copy. I'm happy with my product. He packaged this very well. It came very safely. It was secure. I had no cracks, no damages that I observed from the slab. So I really appreciate, you making sure this baby got to me safe and it's in good hands. I'm looking forward to adding this to my Thor collection. All right, so the next book I would like to share is also another one from Rainy. And this actually is another Thor book, but with this particular issue, this is actually something that's important to me because I really have been trying to complete my Thor run, but I also am aware of certain pockets of that run that have key significance. And this particular comic book right here, Thor 160, continues the origin of Galactus. Now I do have Thor was it? Oh, I'm sorry. This is not the origin of Galactus. This is the battle of Galactus versus Ego. But I do have the origin of Galactus, which I believe is Thor 168. Okay. This one right here is the Galactus versus Ego, the living planet. And basically Thor is kind of caught in the middle of that battle between Galactus and Ego. I don't want to give you any spoilers on who he sides with, but essentially it's an ongoing battle between Galactus and Ego, the living planet, and I think it's a two-parter. But there was a lot of cosmic things going on during this period that Jack Kirby kind of wanted to explore with Thor, and he has a lot of issues like this where him and Thor and Galactus interact. So I wanted to kind of get all those issues, as priority of Thor and Galactus and their whole cosmic adventure and journey in terms of their interactions and what it looked like, during that time. So this is probably one of my favorite covers. I kind of go back and forth between this one and another one of Thor, of the Thor Galactus covers that I really like, but this is. Oh man, this is either one or two. I go back and forth between this one and another one I'm about to show you in a little bit, but they're so neck and neck. It's so freaking close. I really can't call it. Because the other one is so dope too. But I mean, Kirby was in his bag with this stuff, man. Oh my God, he was in his bag with this. But I just love this cover so much, guys. This is such a dope cover. And it's a pretty high grade, 7.5, man. It's a high mid. I love this cover, man. I mean, it really has, there's some ticks there, but it presents so well. It's a beautiful cover, guys. So for those of you guys who have not read early Thor with Jack Kirby, I know a lot of people say it's hokey, and yeah, a lot of the earlier stories are one-offs, and they're kind of villain of the weeks, and there really isn't not a lot of continuity, and some of the things that Thor kind of gets into is really but at the same time, if it wasn't for those stories, those laid the foundation for the character. And I will say, to be honest with you, I don't really mind it as much. I actually kind of like it. I actually like the hokiness because that was the time period. And actually the stories get progressively better. As you continue to read, you really start to see Stan and Jack kind of getting into their bag in terms of the storytelling, where they wanted to go with the character of Thor, and kind of what they really wanted to do, to expound on the mythos of, what he brings to the table in terms of his rogues gallery, the 9 realms. That's why I love Thor so much, is because you can really put him in almost any situation. He's so versatile. You could put him in with the epic storytelling of the Vikings and the battles and all that cool stuff. You can make him a down-to-earth superhero, chilling the Earth, or as he calls it, Midgard, and just kind of fighting low-level crime villains. Or you could put him in a cosmic adventure, a cosmic space opera, where he's interacting with Galactus, or, he's having to fight, different types of aliens or whatever, and it works. It just works, like, and it fits right in, and it's not really forced. It just kind of flows. And I think none of that happens without the foundation that Jack Kirby and Stan lay down for the character to kind of explore those possibilities with him, because he has all of those capabilities. He has the magic, he has the technology with the Asgardian tech, and he has the down to earth camaraderie with the humans, but he can also be a team member of the Avengers. So many things that Thor is a part of, I just love this character. I'm sorry, fanboy. But anyway, let's switch it up. We're gonna break it up a little bit and switch it up. I've been doing a lot of Thor, so now let's go a little different route. So with this particular comic, this is a comic book that I've been wanting to get for the longest time. And for the longest time, it's always just been out of reach. I just feel like every time I look for this comic, it's just completely astronomically high. It has not depreciated in value too much until recently. It has kind of gone down a little bit. And I was just like, whoa, okay. I found like a copy on eBay of it that was like, right in my range. And I was just like, that never happens. And I was like, yo, I gotta jump on this book. So I did my research, checked the fair market value. And that's something, important to do too, guys. When looking for books, don't just jump on the first thing you see. Do your due diligence in researching the book. So for me, I use things like cover price, to try to check fair market value on things. I'll also use Go Collect sometimes. And of course, I'll do comparisons on eBay, if I am looking on eBay, just to kind of see because sometimes the fair market value may not be representative of how it's actually being sold. That could be like a one-off, because you do get those situations, right, where somebody buys like a crazy comic for like a really low price, and you're like, how in the world did he get that? Why couldn't that have been me, right? So you want to make sure that you research to make sure you're not overspending on the book and it's within your range. And of course, you may not always get it for the best, lowest price. So keep that in mind too. But it has to make sense to you and your budget. That is the most important thing. It has to make sense to you and your budget. What works for you may not work for another person, and vice versa. So that being said, saw this comic book on eBay. And, it was going for a pretty good price. And I was like, man, so I kind of waited for a little bit until I was like, had to wait for my paycheck. I'm like, okay, let me just wait, make sure everything cleared before I just jumped on it. And lo and behold, it was still available. I was like, I'm jumping on it. So I pulled the trigger and I got a really nice copy of X-Men 101, guys. What? The Phoenix! Who remembers the Phoenix Saga? Man, I tell you, like, this is my childhood right here. So for those of you guys who do not know, X-Men is the reason I got into comic books. As like X-Men, if it was not for that 90s cartoon, which I pray to God that this X-Men 97 lives up to my childhood experience with the 90s cartoon, because that cartoon was so monumental for a lot of people my age, a lot of kids my age. It is what got us into comics. I remember getting up Saturday morning, getting ready for Fox Kids, making sure I got up on time. I even set my alarm, make sure I got up so I could watch X-Men. I did not want to miss it. And the cool thing about X-Men was it was ahead of its time, because up until that point, you didn't have a lot of cartoons that really had continuity like that. Like, and what I mean by that is, like when you look at stuff now, it's not uncommon, right, for you to watch TV shows or cartoon shows that do recaps on what happened, or they kind of build off of each other, and you had to kind of catch the previous episode to understand what happens on the next episode. Well, X-Men did that to perfection. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this, I believe they were the first cartoon to have a consistency of not only having a continuity of past events that built off of each episode, but they were the first to also do recaps and to that classic previously on X-Men. I think they were the first to really do recaps for a cartoon where they would just go back and recap on what happened. So if you missed out, you kind of got an understanding of what was going on. And I love that about the show. And the Phoenix Saga to me was my favorite arc out of the complete run of the cartoons and in the comic books. Shout out to Christopher Claremont. I also have a signed copy of her in her Dark Phoenix uniform. I believe that is X-Men 135, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong on that. But that iconic cover where she's like crushing the X-Men, sign, he signed that. But this one right here, I've been wanting to get for a long time. Like, I really, really, really love this cover. I love the Phoenix Saga. I love that whole arc. And I'm really working on trying to get all of the Phoenix Saga, Christopher Claremont run for the X-Men, because I really love it. I just love it. I love the part when they go to when the Shi'ar Empire comes. And do y'all remember that scene, right? Where, man, it's like so spoiler alert. So for those, I'm sorry, I gotta talk about this because this is like one of my favorite parts. So just skip a little bit further if you don't want to hear this. But okay, so the X-Men, there's a villain of the X-Men known as the Juggernaut. For those of you guys who do not know who the Juggernaut is Professor Xavier's stepbrother or whatever, right? So Juggernaut is this huge powerhouse. He has the power of Cyttorak, big red suit, strong guy, pretty much unbeatable, right? And every time he came in up until that point, he was just dominating the X-Men. Like, they could not mess with the Juggernaut. That dude was a problem, right? Okay, so fast forward to when we get to the Phoenix Saga, right? Okay, this is like to show you like how astronomically powerful like other beings outside of Earth are when it comes to like Marvel events and X-Men and all that stuff. So they're on like they're like somewhere in Ireland where Myra McTaggart, where she stays at with the Banshee, her boyfriend at the time. So basically, the Shi'ar Empire is trying to infiltrate and capture the Phoenix because they know that the Phoenix is the key to something. I don't want to spoil that, but she's a key to something and they need her. So this guy by the name of Gladiator, who's one of the generals of the Shi'ar Empire, which is like a ragtag group of just different species who just get together and basically they form like a whole like empire of just different beings that are just trying to work under the Amkron crystal to protect balance in the universe. It's this whole thing. So Gladiator comes to try to get the Phoenix, and it's in the middle of a fight that the X-Men are having with the Juggernaut at the time, and basically he interrupts the fight with the Juggernaut. And keep in mind, this is a guy who's just like never been like dominated ever. I mean, like he's just like been whooping butt this whole time. And the Gladiator just lifts this megaton guy up, spins him around, and throws him halfway across the planet like it won't nothing. And I was just like, what? What in the world? What in the world just happened? Man, as a kid, my jaw dropped. Even to this day, like when I see that, I'm just like, how would the Gladiator just do that? It was insane. So that kind of segues into when they go into space, and that was like my favorite like season of the X-Men cartoon and my favorite run in the comics because it was so close to the source material. It was really good. Aside from Gambit being there and all that, it was a different timeline. But for the most part, it was pretty true to the story. But I love the Phoenix Saga, guys. Like my favorite arc in the X-Men run, man. Love Phoenix. Glad to have this copy. Really happy with the presentation, and I'm good on this. Like, I'm not even looking for an upgrade right now. I mean, I'm cool, you know. All right, so next comic that I'm going to pull out is actually we're gonna go back to a raw copy. Going back to what I was saying before, I'm really trying to complete my Thor run, so it's really going to be Thor, Journey into Mystery, which is early Thor. You know, this year for me, a couple of things here and there that I want to get, but hey, I'm going for Thor stuff. So this particular comic, I got this at the Atlanta Comic Con. There was a company called Fallout Comics. I'll also tag them in the description. Really cool guys. I actually got like a whole bunch of stuff from them. Like I think out of everybody, all the vendors at that show, I think I bought the most from them. I think I bought like about 10 books from them. You know, and they gave me a pretty good deal on the books. So I was happy with the price. We negotiated on the pricing. And this is one of the books I picked up, you know, from, you know, what they presented. And it was, and these books were like in like a mid-grade. So, I mean, these are actually good for, which is good for Silver Age, which is what this book is a Silver Age book. So this particular book continues out, is Thor 162. And this continues out the Ego versus Galactus battle. I love this cover. This cover, I go back and forth between this one and that other Thor cover I showed you, Thor 160. Like, I really go back and forth between those two because they're this close in terms of like how much I love these, like love it. But this one right here, I think what draws me in is the inner, like the Kirby was known for like his drawing his energy balls and how he would do the cosmic energy. And I love how he did that. Just draw that backdrop of Galactus just draws you in. Like immediately when I turn, that's the first thing that pops, you know, that captures my eye. And I love the Asgardians like next to Thor getting ready for battle. And, you know, it's just a beautiful copy. And I love how this presents. Like it looks well in the Mylar, it looks well outside the Mylar. It's a 6. I think he had it rated at 6.5. I agree. I think this is actually one I would love to get cleaned and pressed and actually slabbed because I love this cover so much. I would love to hang it. That's how much I love this cover. Like, it is like that. I love this, the cosmic art of Thor when Kirby was really in his bag. And I really cannot wait to read that whole storyline. Like, I know the story in terms of just like cliff notes, but I really want to read the comic. And I really hope that they do another re-release of the omnibus for this particular arc. Otherwise, we're gonna have to buy the Epic collections, which are, I'm gonna have to maybe get those eventually. But I really do love this cover, and it's just such a beautiful piece of art to own and to have. And I'm just really appreciative that I was able to pick this baby up. And no, I did not pay $100 for this, by the way. I actually got this in a bundle pack. So that's another. Oh, and that's another thing too, guys. A lot of times, a good strategy when buying comics is if you see something you like, bundle it with other books, and a lot of times the dealer will give you a discount. I think I ended up because I bought so many books from him. I think he ended up dropping that book about 30, 40 bucks to allow me to purchase more books. And he ended up still getting a pretty good, I got a really good deal and he still made money. So it worked out. It worked itself out. So a lot of times, guys, if you see something you like, put that to the side. Look for other things that you like as well and see if you can package it together and make a deal. That's what I normally do. I'll just go through the crates, pull out stuff. I'll do the math in my head. Then I'll calculate it for fair market value on like cover price. Another good one is comic book collector. or comic collector, or key collector. I'm sorry, key collector. That's another good way to kind of just check to see what you're getting. So like, a lot of times if you're not familiar with a book, or you just don't know if it's a key issue or not a key issue, you can go to key collector and it'll tell you if it's a key issue or not. It'll give you a value, but the values I don't think are really that accurate. So I wouldn't even like pay those any attention. But it does have a link to eBay where you can kind of look up some eBay prices to kind of get a feel. And then you can also go to Cover Price, which will also tell you if it's a key issue or not as well, and the fair market value of the comic book. And in addition to that, Go Collect is another one that you can utilize as well. That'll tell you, if it's a key and if it's a book that has, and what the fair market value on the book is. So just keep that in mind. But doing that research and then coming up with a number can go a long way. And then they can just, they'll say yeah or nay, or they'll counter offer. But the number I gave them was pretty cool. He just jumped on it the first time, which kind of makes me think in hindsight, man, should I have gone lower? Because he kind of jumped on that pretty quick. So I don't know. I ended up buying like a bundle of 10 Silver Ages for about $240. They were originally priced at probably about $350. So he knocked off, basically I got them for $110 cheaper, and I paid cash. That's another thing too. You could probably get a lot of stuff cheaper if you pay in cash, especially at comic book conventions, because them using PayPal or some other source, basically costs them more money, which costs you more money. So keep that in mind when you're buying books. So the next book I'm going to share with you guys is a book that is near and dear to my heart. It's a book that is based off of a cartoon series that I used to enjoy growing up. And, this is really special to me. So me and my fiance, again, we're at the Atlanta Comic Con, and I was going there on a mission to collect books, but there was also another thing I was there for. Now, you remember I mentioned earlier about, actors and, people, being, every which way but loose, when it comes to, their tables being set up and everything, right? So the person I was looking for was not at any of those tables. He was, set up somewhere else, and I didn't notice at the time. So I'm like, man, I'm not even gonna see this guy, because he's not even there, or maybe he canceled, or maybe he left early, because he was only gonna be there for one day, which was a Saturday. I remember this. He was only gonna be there for one day. I don't know. I didn't know how long he was gonna be there, but we were there and we were looking for him. Well, eventually we just kind of stopped, we stopped thinking about it. And a lot of times when you stop thinking about stuff, that's when you find stuff, right? And we just happened to find this guy, or he found this table, but he wasn't there at the time. And they were like, well, he's not there right now, but if you come back at, I think it was like an hour later, he'll be back. He just went to go take a break, and, he'll be back. So, we left, looked around, bought some more books, and then, Fallout had asked about, hey, are you going to see such and such? And I was like, yeah, I am. He's going to be back in an hour. He's like, yeah, cool, because I'm going to get my book signed from him too. So basically, we got there, and he was there, and oh my God. It was just like, I reverted right back to my childhood. I was just like, I didn't know where I acted like, my fiance acted like, and she just looked at me like, you're acting like such a big kid right now. And she just kind of laughed at me. But the guy the person that I met was the voice actor for Thundercats. And he signed My Thundercats Volume 1. And I was in awe at how cool this guy is. Man, when I say he sounds just like Lionel, like that's his normal voice. And he told me that. He's like, hey, that's my normal voice. And he auditioned for the part up in New York from what he was telling me. And he was just like, it was just pretty cut and dry with him getting the role. He's done other voice work, like he did a character off for Silverhawks. For those of you who don't know, it's like an 80s show from back in the day, kind of like a sci-fi cartoon type of thing. And he also did Lionel's father on the Thundercats remake that they did back in the 2010s, which I'm still so disappointed that they canceled that season after one season. It was such a great like season. I love well, the animation was just top tier. Let's just get that out of the way. It was just beautiful animation. But the storyline was so dope, man. Like, I mean, they gave you a lot of backstory to the characters of like Thundera. They really explored that planet. And I really love how they show the interaction between the different tribes of cat, like how Lionel and his dad, you know, kind of were at war against Tiger's clan and how they took Tiger in as his adoptive son. And it was just such a dope storyline. I really wish they would bring that back. I know they kind of came out with spiritual successor in Thundercats Go, which is kind of like the equivalent of Teen Titans Go to the original Teen Titans cartoon. And it just didn't. I mean, it's cool for what it is for the kids, but for me, a diehard Thundercats fan, man, that remake was dope. And man, if like my man didn't kill that voice actor. And he is such a personable guy. I actually took a picture with him and I tagged him on my IG. But he was just really a cool guy, really down to earth. And I liked how he was not sitting in that celebrities alley. He had his own little booth and it was with the people. He was not segregated from everybody. He was just there. And he was so cool, so personable. I really love that guy. And, you know, I got this Thundercats 1 with the intentions of, you know, upgrading my copy, flipping it to get a better copy. Cause that, you know, I kind of feel like I kind of got burned a little bit with, you know, buying this online as a raw copy. I was told it was like a near mint and it really isn't. It's probably like a fine to very fine maybe. So maybe like a 7.58 maybe. Maybe with a cleaner press it'll, you know, be like an 8. But yeah, I kind of got shafted. But you know what? At the end of the day, once he signed that, all that just kind of went out the window. I didn't even care anymore about what grade the book is or, you know, it needing to be a near mint at that point. I just cared that he signed it and he put my name on it. Like, he put my name on it, guys. To Eli. Thundercats. Ho! And he signed his name at the bottom, man. And like, I'm just so appreciative of this book. And I'm just so happy that, you know, he took time to sign this, and I'm just so grateful. So now what I probably will do is I'll probably get with CBCS just to get it encapsulated, just because like this is going to stay on my PC and I'm keeping this thing. I don't care what the grade is. I just want to encapsulate it with a signature verification just so it can just be preserved, because I really I love this book, and the fact that he put my name on it and he signed it in such a dope location, I was just like, man, really cool, yo. Really cool, guys. I really relived my childhood with this one, and to me, like, this probably would have been my number one if I hadn't had these other purchases. But this was such a all moment for me. And again, another great guy, very approachable, very cool dude. You could talk to him all day. Very nice. All right, guys, we're getting down to like the last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're getting down to the last 4, okay? So I know you guys are rocking with me. All right. This next book is like a book that kind of like that Phoenix Saga that just never really appreciates the value. Even when it goes down, it's still high. For some reason, this book just never like loses its value. It just holds on to it like for like clamps, you know, to wire, you know, it just never like lets up. And, you know, again, with being the Thor fan, it's tough out here in these streets, man, when you're trying to get that early Thor and you trying to get all these first appearances and, you know, classic, you know, you're going through Thor's Rose Gallery. And let that be known, Thor to me has probably the most underrated rogues gallery in comics. Yes, you heard it from me. Whenever anybody talks about rogues gallery, who do they go to? They go to Batman, right? Because you got the Joker, Two-Face, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, Bane, Clayface. You got all them cool villains. Or they go to Spider-Man. Spider-Man, you got the Vulture, Dr. Octopus, Scorpion, Green Goblin, Hobgoblin, Venom, Carnage. Classic Rose Gallery, right? You might hear some Superman in there because you do got Lex Luthor, you got Brainiac, you got Darkseid, you got people like that, Amazo, people like that who, are kind of in the mix, and it kind of matriculates from there. But you never really hear too much about Thor. And I'm like, why not? Thor to me has like one of the illest rogues galleries. Think about it. You got Loki. Like if it wasn't for Loki, there would be no Avengers. Like, let's just be real. He is the one who brought the Avengers together. He was the common thread, right? You got the freaking like Destroyer, right? The celestial armor that was created by Odin, who, if it falls into the wrong hands, could be one of Thor's greatest foes. You got Absorbing Man. Dude literally can absorb anything and gets the powers of whatever the property he absorbs. So metal, iron. He absorbed Mjolnir at one point, that Uru, and he had the power of Uru metal. Anything he absorbs, sand, like, doesn't matter. He becomes that thing. Dope villain. But we also have Amora the Enchantress. Another dope villain, or should I say villainess. And the Executioner. Her right hand. The guy that, be sipping like a mug but can never get the cookie, but he be sipping. He be sipping hard. And this comic, Journey into Mystery 103, I got this on eBay. Now, this is a perfect example, and I love this book. I love how it presents. It is, to me, beautiful. Beautiful copy. And I love this. I am so happy with this. The Rainbow Bridge, I love how it pops. The colors in the Rainbow Bridge. I love the backdrop. Looking like they're in space. You see that Kirby goodness with the little energy bubbles. In the back, representing the stars. And I love the Enchantress and the Executioner standing in front of Thor. Two key first appearances for your boy Thor. Now, perfect example of buying the book, not the grade, guys. This particular book, they had two that were pretty close in price. They had actually a 4.5 that was selling for probably, I want to say, $25 more than this particular copy. It was a higher grade, and technically, in the long run, it probably will be worth more because it will appreciate in value. But I did not like how the book presented. Why I didn't like it was because, for me, it kind of had like a really bad tear that was just glaring, and it was like right there. It was like a big white tear, and it was just like, it was just like irking me, and I just could not get over that look aesthetically. And if I were just to go off of buying the grade, I would have bought that book and not been happy with it. Straight like that. I just been like, oh man, I got this book, I'm not happy because that tear is just But I saw this book, it was a 4.0, but you know what? I didn't care because I loved how it presented. And to me, like, these Thor Enchantresses covers, man, they have some dope covers, man. I really want to get up on, they have a lot more of them in the Avengers run. You don't really see any other cover appearances for Amora in the Journey into Mystery covers, but in that Avengers run, you see a lot of her in the Executioner. So I want to get some more cover appearances of her and Thor in those titles because they look, those covers are like really sick. They're really dope and done very well. But this has been a book I've been wanting to get for a long time. It's a low print, I think, too, because you don't see these in for sale a lot. You do not see these go up for sale. People hold on to these things almost as much as like 83 or 85. Like, you don't see these go up for sale a lot. Like, I don't know what it is about this particular book other than I feel like it's an icon. It's a beautiful cover, probably in my top 10 favorite comic book covers of all time. And I mean, the villain is dope, but it's not even Thor's top villain, but she is up there, don't get me wrong. But getting back to my initial point, I think Thor's Rogues Gallery is severely underrated. Like, if you go back and really research his Rogues Gallery, Thor got some villains, yo. The Midgard Serpent. Come on. Like, that was an Avengers level threat in fear itself. Ulick the Troll is a dope villain. Malekith the Accursed, man, like, he's sick. He had the Casket of Ancient Wonders that pretty much shut the whole world down and set everything into like a sub-zero freeze. So you got some ill like villains. Thor got some ill villains, yo. And Surtur, man, we can't even forget about, man. Thor got some ill villains. All right. So we're winding down, guys. All right. These last three could go either way, honestly. Like, all of them are number one, depending on what day of the week it is for me. They all have their place. This is a cover I've been wanting to get for a long time. It is my favorite. When I say favorite, it is my favorite and my number one comic book cover that I feel is the greatest comic book cover of all time, in my personal opinion, and is my favorite comic book cover. If y'all feel differently, I completely understand that, and you entitled to your opinion. This, to me, is just my favorite comic book cover, and what I feel is the GOAT comic book cover for me. Okay? This particular comic book cover, Silver Surfer number 4. What can I say? Classic John Buscema cover. Big John Buscema is my favorite comic book artist of all time. Drew Thor to perfection. Like, to me, just, you could do that. Dude could do no wrong with Thor when it came to his artwork. Like, his artwork in general, especially with Conan, which I really want to get up on, was just sick. But when it came to Thor, oh my God, this dude was on another level, man. Look at this. This don't even make no dang sense. Like, how sick this cover is. Like, this is ridiculously dope. And I love how John Buscema mixes like a little bit of realism with comic book art. And I like that mix. It's not too much realism, because I do like traditional comic book art, but it's just enough to give it the details, the muscles, the definition, the way he contorts his body as he's getting ready to swing Mjolnir, the battle Silver Surfer, who's like lurking down, who's thrusting down to like get ready to take on Thor, man. Such a classic cover. I never thought I would own this, guys. Like, this is a cover that I've always felt was going to be out of my reach. This is a dream. This is a pipe dream. This is a grail. This is a grail for me. And I'm so blessed to have it. Because I never thought in a million years I'd own a copy of this. But even though it's an entry copy, I love it. And I'm blessed to have it. Shout out to Elite Comics, because I reached out to them and I negotiated the deal with them, and they gave it to me for a really good price. The guy that sold it, he worked with me, and shout out to them for making this dream happen for your mild mannered guy. I never thought I would own this. So thank you. Beautiful copy. This next copy was a copy I posted about a year ago that I did not own at the time. This was at Heroes Con, and there were 2 comics that I saw there, and both of them were ridiculously expensive. Again, I'm a Journey into Mystery guy. So both of them were Gem Comics, and both of them were crazily priced. Now, the thing about it was, just looking at them, they were encased in glass and everything. One of them I actually got to hold. And I took a picture with it. And I told myself, I'm going to get that comic one day. I'm going to get it. Don't know when, but I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it one day. And lo and behold, after months of saving and willing and dealing, trading, Shortbox. I was on Shortbox one day, and this was right when it was everything was dipping in December. And I'm like, I looked at the comment. I just go through my usually I'll go through my searches, look and see what's out there, check everything out, see what's popping. And one of my searches, I found the comic that I was holding at Heroes for a good price. Now, it was a 3.5. And it was going for about $1,800. Now, and he was giving, now at the time, I didn't have the money. So I waited but I knew I got paid. So I was like, okay, let me wait. Waited about a week. And, the book is gone. I'm like, whoa, what happened to the book? It just disappeared. Now, some would say like, man, so I reached out to Shortbox, and they told me that the book is still available, but the guy just, took it down because he's on vacation, and, he's, not going to be able to do anything. He's closed the store up, for a week or so. Okay, no problems, no worries. So, but then I found another book of the same issue at a higher grade, a little bit more expensive, but it presented very well. And again, going back to what I was telling you before, sometimes, buy the book, not the grade, because 3.5, it was a 3.5, but it presented okay. And I think I would have been happy with it, but I was even more happier with the 4.5 I saw. So I tried to haggle and make a deal on it, but they wouldn't budge on the deal. It was fair enough. It was a great deal. It was $2,200. It was a great deal. At one point, that book was over $3,000 worth, in terms of the amount that it was worth. Like, we're dealing with some big boy. I had to this is my first big boy purchase. I've never paid ever, like Jericho say, ever paid that much for a comic book in life. But I knew this was it. Sometimes if you got to jump on it. You see something you want, you got to jump on it, because the deal is right. You got to jump on it, because you just never know. Never know when you're going to have that opportunity again. And the book I'm talking about, guys, Journey into Mystery, 85 out of 4.5. First appearance of Loki. Third appearance of Thor. First appearance, I believe, of Asgard. And what can I say? What can I say, man? Loki, probably one of my favorite villains. In comics, he's right up there. Probably only second to Thanos. Thanos is one of my favorite comic characters, period. But Loki's up there. And I'm not a big fan of what they're doing with him now. I mean, I like kind of the anti-hero Loki. The god of stories is kind of cool. But I miss, this is Loki. The villain Loki. I love the villain Loki. The Loki that's selfish. The Loki that is envious of his brother. Is going to do what he needs to do and climb to the top to rule Asgard. I love that Loki. Miss that Loki. I want that Loki back. Marvel, can we bring that Loki back? Please. Please, can we bring that Loki back? Oh God, I miss Loki. All right, but anyway, guys, this right here, I never thought I would own. December 23rd. This is my Christmas present to myself, and I love it. I don't even care about doing an upgrade on this one, because I love this comic book presents so well. I am cool with it. I am so cool with this. This is a beautiful copy. it's such and really undervalued, to be honest with you. I mean, it was a steal, don't get me wrong, and it's still pricey. 2,200 is not no peanut dollars, but for what you're paying, but for what you're getting for this comic, you're getting multiple, you're getting a first appearance of an iconic villain, an early issue of Thor, and like the first mention of Asgard. And you're getting the first appearance of Heimdall. I mean, and an Odin cameo. I mean, you're getting a lot with this book. And it's such a iconic book with an iconic villain. The cover is on point. The villain is on the cover. I put this up there with, I think it should be on the same level as the first appearance of Doctor Doom. What do you think, guys? Do you feel like this particular comic book is undervalued? And if so, like, where would you, if so, where would you rate, what would you think it should be worth? Would you put it up there with a first appearance of Doctor Doom? Like, where would you value the comic book at? But my opinion, I think it's up there. All right. So this last comic book, I mentioned earlier that one of my comic books was when I went to Heroes, I had a comic book that, that was one of the comic books I saw, was the Journey into Mystery 85. The other comic book I saw was, I didn't get to take out. I didn't get to hold, but I saw it. And I was like, oh my God, I'll never own this comic book. This is a book I was like, I don't think I'll ever own, because it was such a crazy, like, out of my range type of book. And, even though I'm collecting, Thor and all his early runs, this was the book I was like, I don't think I'll be able to get, because it's like a house payment to get this book. But lo and behold, last month, saw this book on eBay, and they were doing an auction for it. And what I noticed about the auction was that there were people bidding on it, but on eBay has what they call a, how do you say, they have like a set rate for how much they want you to bid for the book. And if that set rate is not met on the bid, then regardless of whoever wins or has the highest amount at that time, the auction is null and void, and the seller can reset the auction for another bid. And what I noticed what was happening was, it seemed like the number wasn't being met for the bid. And see, the seller doesn't tell you, at least this particular seller didn't tell you how much the minimum bid was for that particular book. So what was happening is, a lot of people were undercutting the bid and never meeting even the minimum for the bid. I myself didn't bid on it. I was just kind of watching and observing it, because I've never really bid on anything before on eBay, and I was trying to learn it. And one of my friends, shout out to Cool Cash, man, he always told me, like, when you do bid, snipe it. So you wait to the last possible minute to get the book, and then you get it. You jump in on it. Well, I was thinking about doing that, but I noticed nobody was buying this book. He kept resetting. And I'm looking at what people are bidding on it, and it's just I'm like, huh. So what I ended up doing was, I actually just shot him the seller a DM, and just said, hey man, would you be willing to take, $2,500 for this book? Straight like that. And the guy was just like, could you do 26? I'm really, I overpaid for this book, and, I'm kind of stuck with it, but, I know I'm going to take a loss, but, if you could take 26, you got a deal. And I said, cool, just take it out of auction and we'll work it out. So he took the book off of auction, put in, make an offer, on the book. I made the offer, got it for $2,600, shipped to me safely. Because I never made that big of a purchase on eBay, before. And I was just like, oh my God, I hope this gets here safe. But, of course, with eBay, you are protected and stuff like that. So that was a cool thing. But it did get to me safe. It wasn't damaged, and everything was good to go. Now, the book itself is a 0.5. So it's an entry book, but it's a blue label, and it's a blue chip key. Guys, this was a pipe dream that I thought would never happen. I'm so happy to and pleased to announce Journey into Mystery 183. The first appearance of my favorite character in all of comics, Thor Odin's son. Journey into Mystery 83, Marvel Comics. This is his first appearance. And what can you say? What can you say? I mean, Dr. Donald Blake chilling, in Europe, all of a sudden gets attacked by aliens, who we will find out later is a race that Korg is a part of from Planet Hulk. I mean, what can you say, man? This is what most collectors dream of when they're looking to go for a run for their favorite character. They want that first appearance. They want that their character's first time they hit the comic book. Now, you're probably wondering, how is this a 0.5? I mean, basically half the cover was ripped off. So they ended up taping another copy. I don't know if they taped the copy back on, or if I think it was like a different copy maybe, but basically they taped the piece back on of the comic. So there's like a big chunk of tape that's holding the cover together, that's keeping it abreast. But it's an off-white pager. If that doesn't happen, this book is probably through the roof. But by it not happening, I got a good deal on it, and it's the entry level, and it's probably the highest I'll get. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll upgrade, but I am happy. I don't care if I do nothing else in life. I have a Journey into Mystery 83 blue chip, blue label. So it's not purple. I don't have that purple label of death. Blue label Thor comic. I am so proud to have this comic. Now, guys, it's been great rocking with you, man, and just kind of going down memory lane. I know this video was super long, but I really wanted to just give you guys like a window or entry point into, my interest in comics. I have other things too that I love as well. Like I love Thor, but I love I do love X-Men. I gotta, I can do an X-Men run one day, like my top 10 X-Men comics. I do have some pretty cool X-Men comics as well that I really love. I love Spawn, so I have some pretty cool Spawn stuff. There's other comic books that I am into, but Thor is just really my guy, and I'm really trying to complete his run. I'm almost done with his run. I think I have still have a little ways to go. I have about like 17 issues left, on the Journey into Mystery run. And I have probably about 30 issues on just his regular Thor Silver Age run. So I still got a little ways to go, but it's not the destination, it's the journey, guys. So, hey, thank y'all for rocking with me. Love y'all. Y'all be safe out there. Hey, comment in the section. Let's just get some dialogue going. Like, what are your thoughts on what I showed you guys today? With some of the prices I talked about, do you think they were fair, not fair? Hey, I'm open to it. What collections would you like to see? What other comics would you like to see me talk about? Let me know. What was your favorite comic book that I showed, or what collection do you have that you would love to share? What would be your top 10 comic books that you've collected from December to now, or just this year? What are your top 10 comics that you've collected this year thus far? Let me know. I'd love to know. Put it in the comment section. Let me know. And I'm out, y'all. Peace.